Hey gang, welcome back to the channel. And a big thank you to all the new subscribers and to all of you who have been with me for the last few years since I started Ken Michaels Radio. If you have any ideas of things that you would like for me to discuss here, could be something in the news, could be about any Beatle album, solo Beatle album, any part of their history or their music, always feel free to drop me a line at my email address. It's everylittlething@att.net. We always have special guests here on the channel, and this time we're welcoming back Beatley Tone, who has a very successful YouTube channel on the Beatles. He talks about everything himself, especially if you love the news. Anytime he gets a little drop of news, he's got to be right there on screen telling you all about it. I just enjoyed the newest videos he put up, in which he reviewed one of Paul's shows in South America. Was it the Uruguay show or was it the
It
Brazil?
was, yeah, Montevideo, yeah.
Okay, because I heard that one of the shows in Brazil was televised, actually.
Yeah, well, I did notice that there on the in the Montevideo gig there was a camera on a boom going across the stage and stuff. So I think I don't know whether they're filming some of the gigs for maybe a possible DVD or Blu-ray release or something like that, or streaming. I don't know.
Yeah, it's been a while for a live album.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, it has.
Count the Amoeba show,
Mm,
which is a live release anyway. But
yeah.
I was thinking since we're recording this on October the 8th and tomorrow is John's birthday, I'd love to do a show on John. And just recently, I started a series called The Deeper You Go, in which I asked my guests to pick 10 songs that are deep tracks from whichever Beatle they pick, or we'll do some shows on the Beatles as a group as well, that you consider to be deep cuts. These can only be songs that were not hit records. I will allow, just to bend the rules a little bit, singles that didn't go very far. And since unfortunately John's career was cut short the way it was, um, singles like I'm Stepping Out, I would still consider a deep cut even though it wasn't a big hit, or even, Woman is the N of the world. So those could be accepted. But any of the real classics, Instant Karma, Imagine, Mind Games, Cold Turkey, whatever gets you through the night, those would not be considered for this show or the double fantasy hits, or Nobody Told Me. So Beatley Tone here has offered to give us his 10 songs, although just about with every guest I have on, they have extra songs they want to throw into the mix. It's so tough when a catalog is so strong. And even
Mm.
with the small catalog that John had, there's so many great songs that he's done that weren't hits. So he's going to share with us his 10. These are not actually ranked. I know you were asking me, are we ranking these? Just 10 random songs that you picked that you think the public should take notice of that have been overlooked or underrated, whatever word you want to use. But thank you for offering to do this and give us
Okay.
your first choice.
Okay, so my first choice, I'm going to go for I See My Sen
Mhm.
from the Mind Games album, which uh, you know it's funny because on my list of great songs that are a little bit deeper, I've come up with one, two, three, four songs from Mind Games. Now, had it not been for the Ultimate Mixes, box set, which I think gave everyone a chance to reappraise the Mind Games album. Um, I don't think that I don't. If you'd asked me a year ago to do this, I probably wouldn't have had as many songs on my list. Now I'm not gonna go do four songs out of my 10 from Mind Games. I'm just pointing out that there's probably more songs that I think are great deep cuts on the Mind Games album now than I did a year ago. So I See Sen is my first choice. Beautiful ballad, and we heard it in with such pristine sound quality on the ultimate mix. Very gentle, beautiful song, a song of apology to Yoko, for previous misdemeanors, should we say. Uh, an absolutely fantastic guitar solo from David Spinoza to close that song. So that's my first pick. Definitely one for, to recommend to people that haven't gone too deep into John's back catalogue.
I'm glad to hear you say this about, reappraising mind games. That's one of the benefits of having these archival box sets in so many
Mm,
ways, because Mind Games is my favorite Lennon album, and I think it's the most underrated in his catalog.
mm,
And I never thought I could appreciate the album even more than I do. But when the box set came out, when you hear all these different mixes, the elemental mixes and the elements mixes, and you hear the work
mm,
that was put into each individual part, it helps to appreciate the song more and how they develop too, the evolutionary mixes and all that. You know,
mm.
um, were there any favorite moments, by the way, before we go into, the next song, since you brought up Mind Games, any favorite moments on the box set that you'd point out?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I did do a deep dive review of all the, well, the main album and all of the extra material. I mean, I've with these Ultimate Mixes sets, my favorite part of them has always been the Evolution mixes. I just love hearing, how a song evolves, from early demo to almost the finished version. That's just a fantastic ride, I think, and learning how how the song progressed through time. So always the evolution mixes, but the I've never been overly keen on the elements mixes on the previous boxes. I quite like them, but they've never been my favorite part. But on this box set, I just really love that both the elements mixes and the elemental mixes, and they really sort of rammed home to me how brilliant the band was.
Hmm.
What a bunch of fantastic musicians. I mean, Gordon Edwards, fantastic bass player. David Spinoza, brilliant guitarist, and Ken Asher, superb keyboard player. And obviously, we know a lot about Jim Keltner anyway. But for, those three guys were just fantastic, and that sort of that helped me reappraise the Mind Games album.
Yeah, I saw a quote from Sean where he was just saying how his favorite song was I Assume Ascend, that he never really noticed it before. And now it's like, you know,
Yeah. Mm.
it's like an awakening to this song,
Yeah.
which, it's so funny how you can bypass certain songs for a while and then come back to it, and all of a sudden you're blown away by it. And I always loved that song. Has a nice bluesy feel. And we did a show, by the way, on Talk More Talk. I don't know if you saw it, with David Spinoza and Ken Asher.
I did see it. Yeah.
Yeah, and tremendous guests. I advise
I
everybody to
mean,
watch that show.
they were brilliant guests. I mean, they talked a lot. I thought you guys were never going to get your questions in because they were just volunteering information, and it was a great show. It was a great show.
Yeah, well, I've known David and Kenny for many years, since the 80s. David was one of the first interviews I ever did on the radio
Uh,
by Beatles.
okay.
So, yeah, and he was very revealing about the Ram album at the time. And yeah,
Mm.
it's great. And as he said on numerous occasions on I Assume Ascend, that was the first take that they,
Yeah. Yeah, well, we saw that from the was it the it might have been the I think the outtake might have been taked. I think they only did three takes, didn't they?
right.
Uh,
Yep.
of that, if I remember rightly, and I think that they had take two on it, and you could hear note for note it was the same solo that was on the finished version. So yeah, amazing. Come up with a solo of that quality, first time. It
Yeah,
just shows how brilliant these guys are and
right.
how talented they are.
It was magic, that moment.
Mm, yeah.
Okay, let's hear your second choice.
Okay. Second choice. I'm gonna go right to the end. I'm gonna go for I don't want to face it.
Mm.
from Milk and Honey, which is my favorite John song from that album. I just, it's just a shame that that he never got to finish it because I think it could have been a Lennon classic. It's a great rocker. It's got humor right from the sort of the Iron Spy, you know,
Cool.
and Hickle Pickle, counting sort of thing, and great stuff. Really enjoy that song, and it's a bit loose, on Milk and Honey, and obviously, if it had had the chance to finish it, it would have been a great listen. But yeah, one of my favorites. I really love that song. He sings it really well. Seeing as it's not a finished version, it was a great take, I think, on that
Yeah,
album.
that could be my favorite John song from the album too. But let me ask you something about Milk and Honey. When it first came out, I um I got the feeling, like we were told, these songs are unfinished. And with the exception of Grow Old With Me, because that was just the piano demo
Mm.
and everything. I got so used to those recordings from John through the years that I've accepted them the way they were. And to me,
Mm.
they're good just the way they were. Did they still come across to you as unfinished in the studio? I mean, think
Um,
about Nobody Told Me. That was a
yeah,
perfect recording of Nobody Told Me.
yeah. Well, it was good enough to put out as a single and be a hit. So there can't be too much wrong with it. I think they were fairly. I think the ones on side one, I'm stepping out. I don't want to face it, and I'm step and what's the other one? Nobody told me.
Yeah.
Were very strong as they were. I think on side two with Borrowed Time, you could see that it had potential, but it wasn't quite there yet.
Mm.
Forgive me, My Little Flower Princess. Is very underdeveloped, I think. It doesn't really go anywhere for me. And obviously, Grow Old With Me. I remember when I first heard it, and my very first thought was that, you know, if he'd had the chance to record this properly, with the band, maybe, throw some strings at it as well, it could have been an absolute Lennon classic, Grow Old With Me. But obviously, it's just a demo, the one that we've got. But yeah, I mean, side one, I think they're almost there with it. Side two, there's probably quite a lot,
Yeah.
still to be developed on those songs, I think.
Okay. I agree with you about Forgive Me. I think that
Yeah,
a little more work and it could have been a pretty good song. It does seem
yeah,
unfinished. Let me ask you something. I had no idea that we could easily go off on tangents here, but
yeah,
where Grow Old With Me is concerned, we've never heard a single thing said from any of the Beatles about it being the fourth song that Yoko gave to them for the album.
yeah. I know, I
And
know. Yeah, go on.
when Ringo recorded his version, he never said anything about it. I know there was no attempt by the Beatles to work on it, but it's almost like they never Ringo acted like he never heard of the song before.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. I think that that just because John had put it out already. I don't think it was ever under consideration for them to develop, but it would have been brilliant if they had done.
Right. I never heard them say why they didn't attempt it or what they thought of
No,
it or anything. So
no. Do we know for an absolute fact that it was a song that was given by Yoko? So sort of
I
always
know I've
wonder
read it.
how we know for definite what was given. As you say, none of the Beatles have ever said that they were given that song.
I've never heard any of them talk about Grow Old With Me other than Ringo
Yeah,
when he released it.
yeah,
But I've read in a number of sources, I wish I could name what they are, that that was the fourth song. Even
mm,
still, there were four songs. That's what we've been
mm,
hearing all this time. So
yeah,
if it wasn't Grow Old With Me, they've never brought up what the fourth song was. So
no.
some things are left to be a mystery, I guess.
Oh yeah, always, always.
All right, your third song.
My third song, I'm gonna pick "Oh My Love" from Imagine.
Hmm.
Uh, it is my favorite song from Imagine, and it's difficult. Imagine is such a well-known album. It's very difficult to say, oh, this is a deep cut. But I think probably, I think things like Jealous Guy is a brilliant track, and it wasn't a single here, and I don't think it's that. It would have been that well known, but so many people now own the Imagine album that it's
Hmm.
probably well known. Obviously, Roxy Music had a number one single here with it, with that song, and obviously, How Do You Sleep is a strong deep cut, but again, it's kind of well known. So I think really the two really good uh, tracks apart from those two that you could call deep cuts is "Oh My Love" and "How" from that album. And for me, "Oh My Love" is just the best song on the album. It is just such a beautiful song, co-written with Yoko, and just a fabulous piano ballad.
Right. I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. It's one of my favorite songs of John's solo career. And every time you keep hearing, oh, Paul was the balladeer. Paul did the love songs. John
Yeah.
write love songs just as well as Paul.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, it was almost like it's his love of the Imagine in a way,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
even placed in the same position on side two. So
Yes.
yeah, and George's guitar part was just right. Just
Yes. Yeah. Lovely.
yeah, gorgeous tune.
Such a great song. Yeah.
You were asking me before we started this if I was going to have my top 10. I have a feeling mine's going to be very close to yours. So
That'd be
I
funny.
would definitely put All My Love in there and I See Sen. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, to get away from sort of love songs, my fourth pick is from Walls and Bridges, and it's Scared. Scared. Uh, it's such a great song. It's such a great song with such great lyrics. I mean,
Yeah.
very dark lyrics for that song. I love the way that he moves from "I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared" to "I'm scarred, I'm scarred, I'm scarred."
Mm.
It's a great shift. Um, and again, beautiful musicianship on it. He sings it really, really well. Again, it's one of my favorites from Walls and Bridges. So that's my fourth pick.
Okay. That's another one I would have in my top 10. The
Okay.
the uh the vocals of John are just so superb, especially when he does the well, well, well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So yeah. And how do you like the version on Menlove Avenue? Because it's just very bare and in so many ways it works. Uh,
yeah. It's interesting. I'm expecting that to be on the Walls and Bridges Ultimate Mixes
yeah.
collection for sure. Yeah, I mean, I loved Men Love Avenue. Really, that was really I remember, after John died and Yoko said that she's gonna, you know, release stuff that fans want, and she was, absolutely true to her word
Hmm.
on that. And I think sort of Men Love Avenue and the Live in New York City was the first sort of batch of unreleased material, I believe, that we got outside of Milk, obviously Milk and Honey,
Yeah.
but in '86. But I loved Men Love Avenue, and that second side, all the tracks I think were taken from the Walls and Bridges sessions, if I remember
Right.
rightly. Yeah, so great.
Yeah.
Love Men Love Avenue.
It's so funny. You get to, thankfully, through all these reissues, get to hear songs in their primitive stages, and then you got the full production,
Mm,
produced versions that came out later. And Walls and Bridges, such a well-produced album. I
yeah.
can imagine what that's going to sound like when the box set comes out.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to be incredible, I think, because it sounds good as it is, and
Yeah.
it'll be incredible when Paul Hicks has a go at it, I think.
Right. Okay. Number five.
Okay, number five, I'm going for God from Plastic Ono Band. Is my favorite song from Plastic Ono Band. I think it would count as a deep cut, even though people know about this song, but it's just such an emotional song. You know, uh, People maybe don't like it because of the "I don't believe in Beatles" line, but after he sings that line, there's a bar of silence, like 4 beats of silence, where before he comes in with "I just believe in me," and that bar of silence is just so integral to that song. It's so important, poignant moment in that song. It's a really strong song. Again, beautiful piano playing on that, and great singing. Even after all these years, I can still never remember the order of all the things that he doesn't believe in, except until we get to Kings, and then I know it's Elvis, Zimmerman, Beatles, but all the others I can never remember the order. But it's just a great song. It's just a great song.
It
Uh,
is.
I love it.
It was such a courageous thing for him to say in a song. That's what
Yeah,
he believes in is his life with Yoko. And he's
yeah.
down all these idols, and I'm sure it shocked so many people the first time they heard Beatles in there. I don't remember what my reaction was at the time. I don't remember the first time I heard it, but do you?
No, not really.
Yeah,
Not really. I was saying to Andy the other day that the I can remember playing Plastic Ono Band when my parents were out of the house, and if it hadn't got to Working Class Hero yet, when they before they came back, when they came back, I had to take the record off the starters. They didn't hear the swear words.
yeah.
Otherwise, they probably would have confiscated it or something. I don't I don't know, but no, I don't remember how I first felt about um hearing that. I don't believe in Beatles. It would have been quite early in my Beatles journey, I think.
Right.
Um, so I'm not sure if it would have, you know, affected me that deeply at that time. But I did know that it was a brilliant song fairly early, fairly early on, and a brilliant album as well. A brilliant
Yeah.
album as well.
I'm sure if I was a little bit older, I would have been more affected by it. But all I remember about 1970 and 71 was so much solo Beatles stuff coming out that I
Yeah,
wasn't that affected,
yeah.
continuation of it all. So,
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have got to hear this album until probably about 1976. I'd been about 15 when I heard it.
hmm,
Um,
yeah. And by the way, great drumming from Ringo on that song. I
oh
mean,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Throughout that album,
But the fills that he does in particular there
yeah,
just really helps to make the song.
yeah. He does a different feel, different. All his feels are different on
Right.
those, I don't believe ins, and great
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay. Number six.
Number six, I'm gonna go for "I'm Losing You" from Double Fantasy. Uh, great song, great song. Um, I think the version with Cheap Trick is fantastic as well, but I think the finished version is probably my favorite of the two. Uh, Again, another song with fairly deep lyrics, you know brilliant guitar in it throughout, another fantastic vocal from
Mhm.
John, and an emotional vocal as well. I think it's a, a, a fantastic song, and a fantastic uh, uh, ordering I'm not really sure what the technical word was, ordering on the album, but to have that and I'm Moving On together was a great choice. Great choice, I think.
Yeah. There was great segging and
Yeah,
dialogue.
sequencing. Yeah, that's the word. Yeah.
They described the album as a dialogue between the two of them, and those two songs back to back work so well that way with them
Yeah,
communicating.
really do. They really do.
Yeah, I'm just we just spoke about I'm Losing You on one of my podcast shows. It probably was Talk More Talk, and the agreement was that they liked the double fantasy version more than the Cheap Trick one. And
Yeah.
I just think it was, well, certainly it was so much more polished on double fantasy. It was,
Yeah. It's a lot tighter, I think.
uh,
Um, yeah.
well, some people like the more raw.
Yeah. And I get that. Um, my choice would be the finished version, but it's fairly close.
Yeah. Are you a big fan of like when Stripped Down came out? That
Yeah, I like that album. Yeah.
this whole feeling these days of, less is more, strip it down, less
Yeah.
expectation. That's part of, when you get a Mind Games box set and you're hearing elements mixes and elemental mix. Here's the tracks without John's vocal. Here's the tracks without drums. You learn so much about those recordings. And in the case of Stripped Down, when a lot of the songs are not double tracked vocals from John, it sounds so
Mhm.
much more live in the studio. Just that process of eliminating one thing, you know. So do you prefer it that way, or do you still like the finished versions?
I think I prefer generally, I suppose it depends on the song, but I think I prefer the more produced uh version, the more polished version. But it's always interesting to hear uh the bare bones of songs, to see, to hear them without the things that they've added as overdubs and stuff like that. Um it can't, some albums we haven't had hardback books on them to
Yeah.
tell us what they added as overdubs and stuff. So it's interesting to hear these things for yourself and work it out that way or whatever. But yeah, I do like the Double Fantasy stripped album.
Yeah, I'm liking it more and more now than I did when it
Yeah.
first.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Okay, let's go on to the next one.
The next one. This guy's so many. Which one shall I pick? I'm gonna pick Isolation. Isolation from Plastic Ono Band. Just fantastic vocals on this song. Especially the middle eight. I don't expect you. That part. Just fantastic. Really nice. Chord changes, I think, on this song as well, on the piano. But again, another really emotional uh, song, heartfelt lyric, and he sings it brilliantly as well. Another one of my favorites from Plastic Ono Band.
Yeah, one of the things that I've grown to love, apart from John's voice, which is obviously one of our favorite, rock
Mm,
and roll singers, when he holds a note for a long time,
yeah,
victim of the insane, and then
yeah, yeah.
Stealing Glass, he does that too.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Great song. I think that's been more appreciated over the years, Isolation. But and I'm always happy to see that with any of this catalog. Okay, next one.
So the next one I've got, Nobody Loves You When You're Down and Out from Walls and Bridges. Again, another fantastic song. We get a version of that on Men Love Avenue as well, don't we? If I remember rightly, yeah. Yeah, another sort of very personal song. I think I'm right in saying that was the first song that he wrote um, for the album. It was the oldest song on the album, Walls and Bridges. I think he'd had that for a while, and just really, really, really good song. It's got that lyric, everyone loves you when you're 6 foot in the ground, and ain't that the truth?
Mm.
Um, you know, another really, really strong song, I think.
Oh, no doubt about it.
Yeah,
Bearing his soul like that. Yeah, I
yeah.
always am reminded, and I ask my guests this question every now and then, but I think that John really downplayed the post Imagine period. He would say that Plastic Ono Band and Imagine were his best albums until Double Fantasy. So it's
Mm,
like, well, what about Mind Games and Walls and Bridges? You know,
mm,
some people do love Sometime in New York City, but
yeah.
when he talked about Walls and Bridges, he said, sounds like the guy's depressed. Well, what did
Mm,
Plastic Ono Band sound like?
mm.
He was not a
Yeah,
happy man during Plastic Ono Band. Doesn't
yeah.
don't give you that feeling. And he said it was the work of a semi-sick craftsman. Do you think that John was way too critical of his own work?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, the man had an amazing voice, and he didn't like it. He didn't like it. How could he not like that voice?
Hmm.
I mean, he's a fantastic singer. Always was a fantastic singer. Um, yeah, I think he. Yeah, it's funny because he's when you see interviews with him, he's boastful about some things, but really very, very modest about other things. And his voice is one of those things that he was modest about. How he couldn't think that he was a fantastic singer, I just do not know, because he's a brilliant singer.
No doubt about it. And
Mm.
sometimes I wonder if the reason why he does that when it comes to, say, Mind Games and Walls and Bridges is that he doesn't want to give enough credit to the time when, he was away from Yoko. Although Mind Games, he was still with Yoko.
Yeah, yeah, he was still with Yoko, and yeah, no, although he was with May when Walls and Bridges was recorded. This is why sometimes I don't, well, not sometimes, mostly, I don't really buy a lot of the May Pang story the way that she tells it, because you look at the Walls and Bridges album, and virtually every song apart from Surprise, Surprise is about Yoko, or about missing Yoko, or being depressed. So, I you know I I think that Walls and Bridges is as much uh, a Yoko album as you know Imagine is, or Double Fantasy, or whatever.
When it comes to who the songs were about.
Yeah,
Although there's always going to be the argument about Steel Glass, whether it was about Alan Klein or about
yeah,
John, both of them, or you know,
yeah.
debate that. But yeah, I see your point. But it's just that physically he was away from Yoko during
He
Walls.
was physically he was, but clearly mentally he wasn't, because he's writing about her all the time, and we know that he was ringing her every day and all that sort of stuff.
Right. Okay. Um, Great choices so far. I can't imagine there being any bad ones. What
How
would
many have
be,
how many have I got left? Because I've got to eliminate some now. I've got to pick the best two out of what's left. Is it two left or three?
you can add a few more beyond 10 if you want to. I don't mind.
Okay, okay. What have I got? What else have I got? I've got down here as one of my, just to rough it up a bit, just to mix it up a little bit. Well, 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 of Plastic Ono Band, um, which is a song that I love. I love I love that verse. I took my loved one out to dinner so we could get a bite to eat. Although we've both been so much thinner, she looks so beautiful I could eat her. It's just fantastic. That's poetry, man. That is poetry.
Uh-huh.
Fantastic. But obviously that song, there's a lot of his, his voice and his screaming is kind of the product of the primal scream therapy that he went for. But again, it is that voice that he manages to scream so violently and feel seem as if he's out of control. There's so much frustration in it, yet he's doing it in perfect tune.
Yeah.
It's just incredible. It's just incredible. So it's a great vocal. It's a great lyric. The Ringo's drumming on it is great, and there's great fuzz guitar on it, and I love it. I love it, and I think that's a really strong song. Well, I know you had a Mother as a single. I think in the US we didn't have it here, but probably you could pick every song on Plastic Ono Band as a fantastic deep cut. We had Love as a single here, but only after his death. It was to promote the John Lennon collection that was on. That was released as a single here, so I didn't include it in my list. Um, so yeah, that again is a fantastic song. Um,
I
what
hate to
else?
think of any song
Oh,
from Plastic Ono Band as being a deep cut because it's so classic in a way. It's
yeah, I know. It's really difficult to know what exactly there's not much we've got to pick on from John's songs as B-sides that could be deep cuts. They were either Yoko songs or they were on albums. Apart from Move Over Miss L, I don't think we've got I don't think we've got anything, and I'm not gonna pick that as one of my top top 10 deep cuts. I don't think.
sometimes it's
Uh,
not that easy. When we finally get to do a show like this on the group, the Beatles, you're going to get people saying that's not a deep cut. You know,
yeah,
you should know every song from the Beatles catalog. Nothing should
yeah. Well,
be.
I think you do, and I think when I think of deep cuts, I think of songs that are you would only know them if you know the album. Um, with John's catalog, it's really difficult. There are only 8 albums, only eight musical albums, not including the avant-garde stuff. So you've only got 8 albums. It's difficult to say what is a deep cut and what isn't, because I think that a lot of people, a lot of fans would know all these. Whereas with Paul's stuff, I think that a lot of people uh drop out of Paul's stuff, maybe in the noughties or in the 80s. They've got a little gap, so they don't know the songs as well. With
Paul,
John, it's much more limited, isn't it?
yeah. And Paul's catalog is so massive that it's easy to pick songs that
Yeah.
people wouldn't know. So, all right. What's your next song? Well, this would be your 10th, but then, like I said, you could do more.
Okay, okay. I've got Watching the Wheels. Can I have that? It was a single, but it wasn't a hit here. If you say no, I'll go on to something else.
It's number 10 hit here.
Oh, was it? Okay. All
Yeah.
right, let's move on. Let's move on from that.
It's not only a
I'll go
hit, it's a classic to me. But
yeah, I mean it's a brilliant song. That's
yeah.
that's that's fine. I will go for Going Down on Love
Oh yeah.
on Walls and Bridges. Again, a great song. Obviously, again, it's a song about Yoko, about the state of his relationship. Again, lovely song, lovely piano in it, beautiful percussion in that song. Again, he sings it well. He's singing, somebody please, please help me,
Hmm.
which is always a bonus. Um, you know, uh, a great song, a great way to open the album as well. And yeah, love that song. Love that song.
Me too. And you mentioned percussion. I thought it was very interesting to use, I guess they're congas.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an unusual song to open an album with, kind of slow
Mm.
to mid-tempo
Yeah, quite laid back. Um,
and depressing.
mm, yeah. Mm.
I'm drowning in a sea of hatred.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I,
Very,
I,
very.
I like that honest side of John, though. Mm,
Mm. Oh, me too.
mm,
Okay. So we got 10 great songs here that you picked. You want to have some
yeah.
honorable mentions?
Yeah, okay. Some honorable mentions. I've got here "Out the Blue," which I thought is a brilliant song from Mind Games. You know, a great a great ballad with a big old chorus. I love how that sort of lifts the song. I've got "You Are Here" as well as a possible another song that I really love. It's you know I I really love Sneaky Pete's pedal steel throughout there. It's almost a country song. It's almost a country. It kind of sounds with that pedal steel. It kind of sounds like a cross between a country song and perhaps a Hawaiian song sort of thing. Yeah,
You
it
know?
kind of gives you that sort of Hawaiian feeling of sunshine and sea and sand and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it could have fit on Gontrapo.
Um, what else have I got here? I've got Old Dirt Road.
Hmm.
I thought is a great song co-written with Harry Nilsson.
Hmm.
I've got Steel and Glass, How from Imagine,
Oh yeah.
uh, and I Found Out from Plastic Ono Band, all songs that I really love, which I would consider to be deep cut. I even put down Slipping and Sliding from Rock and Roll.
I was
I
going to
love
ask if
I
you were going to
love
have
that
any more.
song.
That might be my favorite from rock and roll. It's just
Yeah,
so much energy in it,
yeah, it is my favorite. It is really full of energy.
and I love how the piano kicks in at the very beginning. And
Yeah.
you know, do you think that as time goes on, and certainly with the releases of all these archival box sets, that the lesser known Lennon stuff will become appreciated a lot more, like Mind Games and Walls and Bridges, maybe
Yeah.
in New
I
York
think
City?
I think that definitely from from older fans, if they're gonna if they give these things a chance, and give themselves a chance to reappraise these things, I think that there was a lot of people that were, um, quite derogatory about Mind Games before the box set came out and said they're not interested in it. It's a very average album. Or people on my channel sort of, made those sort of noises, and I think that, when I did my John Lennon ranking album ranking video, Mind Games was somewhere in the middle. I think it was just behind Double Fantasy. So it's somewhere in the middle. But, I think probably now I would probably place it above it. It's given me a better feel for it. But I do think that with these archive boxes, I think that they're kind of playing to the choir. I think it's really only us hardcore fans that are interested in those deep dives into these albums. So there's a possibility that hardcore fans will reappraise some of the lesser loved albums like Mind Games or Double Fantasy, um, even sometime in New York City. Please, if we get that, I mean, I think it's something that we all want because, there's only 8 John albums. We can't afford to lose one. And you know, whatever you know, we know it's not going to be a big seller. But there are, plenty of hardcore fans that are queuing up to buy it. So, I think that old fans will get a new appreciation of via these archive boxes. I don't think that they're that the young I don't think younger fans are going to be buying those boxes. They might stream the main album or something like that. Um, I don't know. I can't really put my views on a younger person because they might stream the main album, really like it, and think, okay, well, let's have a listen to some of this other stuff as well then, from this album. So, don't know, really. It's
I
hard
would
to
imagine
predict.
for a young audience who are just getting into the Beatles or John, it's much easier just to stream the album instead of all the different mixes from the album, you
Mm.
know. So, but as much as I hate to say this, because John's life was so short and his catalog is small, it makes it easier to go deep into the catalog and get to know it.
Yeah.
You know, if you had to start on Paul McCartney's solo catalog,
Yeah.
it, it's so big that it would take, for a lot of people
Yeah.
to get to know all of his music.
Yeah.
So yeah, but you find that with your channel, are most of your viewers, are they hardcore, or do you have some new fans or casual fans?
I think that probably most of them are fairly hardcore. Um, that have got some young people that subscribe to the channel that comment quite regularly. Um, and you know what Beatles fans are like. They've always got something to complain about. Whatever comes out, there's always going to be some people that are not going to like it.
Uh-huh.
No, before they've heard it, they're not going to like the fact that it's coming out.
Hmm.
Um, you know, some incredible stuff coming out about we in the UK we're getting this white vinyl version of Hard Day's Night coming out for National Album Day.
Yeah,
And a lot of people saying, well, what waste of time, because I think it's just going to be the the stereo remaster from 2009 that was transferred to vinyl 2012. I think it's
yeah,
just going to be that, but on white vinyl. And people saying, well, people are angry because it's not the Hard Day's Night, remix deluxe box set with extras and a book and all that sort of stuff. And that'll come in time. But
right.
but this isn't it. And people are saying it a waste of time. And I find myself saying, well, it's not a waste of time for people who collect coloured vinyl because it's just right up their street. It's
Yeah,
right up their street. So if you're not I don't know why people get so upset about it because you're not if you're not interested in coloured vinyl, you're not missing out on anything because there's no new music, right? You don't have to buy it because there's no new music. You don't like coloured vinyl. Move away. There's nothing to see here, sort of thing. So yeah, I've got great people that come on my channel and they're various ages. I think most people that watch my channel are probably my age or around about my age, uh sort of in that sort of 50s 60s bracket, I suppose.
you may know if you watch Talk More Talk, especially, that I'm not a collector of all the different colored vinyl. I just care about having music. That's
Yeah,
just where I'm coming from. But I
yeah.
don't begrudge anyone that is into all that stuff.
No,
So,
no.
but when people complain about it, I just say, well, this is for the collector. When people
Mm.
bitch about McCartney putting out all the different versions of McCartney 3 or Egypt Station or, all these
Yeah,
variations, it's like, well, I don't have to have all them. I have the
no.
album. That's all I need. If he puts out an unreleased song that's only available on something else, then I'll have to get it. But
Yeah,
it's there are different audiences out there. There are some people who really love collecting all this stuff. And
yeah.
I think the record company is addressing that much more so than Paul. Paul's just going along with it. But it's
Yeah,
all
I don't think he makes those decisions anyway. People blame him that there's 10 different McCartney threes out there, but he hasn't suddenly got a job in the marketing department.
right.
He's the artist. He's the artist, and I think the marketing department at MPL make these decisions, and that's what they're paid to do. They're paid to do their market research and see what people want, and then give them what they want and make money for the company. That's the idea.
And
Um,
in the Beatles universe, there are a
yeah.
lot of collectors. They live for this.
Yeah, there are, and there are different levels of collecting, and whatever level you're at, that's fine because it suits you. I mean, lots of people collect memorabilia. I don't really collect memorabilia. I don't have lunch boxes and little figurines and things like that, pencils and pens and all that sort of stuff. I don't, that sort of stuff doesn't interest me. I'm mostly interested in the music. I'm interested in books and that sort of stuff.
Yeah. The only time I went a little haywire was when Now and Then came out. And I wanted to have the single and the 12-inch and the CD and you know,
Yeah,
this is the Target version. This is the it's
yeah, yeah.
but by the way, we'll just close with this since Paul just started his tour in South America, and the big surprise was that he did Now and Then, and you've
Mm.
heard it. How do you feel about him doing the song, and how do you think about the performance?
Well, I thought the performance was very good. He definitely had Abe helping him out on the vocals in the chorus, which is quite high
Yeah.
for him to get to now. But Abe did a good job. But I was saying to Andy the other night, you know, if I'd thought about if I knew that he wasn't going to change the set very much, because it's the Got Back, it's still the Got Back tour,
Right.
so the set isn't going to change much. But he normally, maybe changes around one or two songs. If I thought about what two songs he might bring in, just to mix it up a little bit. Now and Then would have been completely off my radar. I wouldn't have even thought that he would have considered it because I
Hmm.
thought he might have played it last year when he was in Australia and Brazil and Mexico. That was around the time that Now and Then came out. I thought if he was going to do it and put it in the set, I thought he might have done it then, but he didn't. So it didn't even cross my mind that he was going to play it. But I'm glad that he is. I'm glad that he is because I think for fans, particularly hardcore fans, that is yet another moment in the show. Another great moment in the show. I think. I thought
Right.
he did it well. What did you think?
I think it came out great. Not only did Paul's voice sound very good for that song,
Mm,
but Rusty Anderson doing
mm,
the guitar solo of, what Paul
mm.
played in
Yeah,
George's style, it was just spot on. You know,
yeah, he
and
nailed it. Mm.
I loved it. But the only thing that I question is why is he doing Now and Then when he never attempted to do Free as a Bird or Real Love in concert? Why is Now and Then more important?
I mean, I would guess because it's the latest one. It's the latest one, and he's touring it. Not long after it came out, when he didn't really tour in the 90s,
Hmm.
around the time that the other two singles came out. He didn't really tour until
2002.
2002, was it? I think was the first time he toured uh, after those had come out. So um, maybe the moment had passed. I don't know. I don't know.
Even still, he did songs from Flaming Pie,
Yeah.
which is close in time to the anthology. So it's
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, I suppose so.
hmm. All right. Well, this has
Who
been,
know, who knows how he how his set list is compiled. He's got he said he's got about 70 songs that the band know,
yeah.
uh, and and they take about 40 of them away with them at the at the moment. And he's some are for the sound check that he does for VIP fans, and most are for the set. But I imagine those 70 songs are all those songs that he's done, that he was, different songs that he was doing in 2015 and 2013 and 2010 and all that sort of stuff. All the stuff that he's done, with this band, this live band.
Yeah. Well, we've done shows in the past on Talk More Talk and also the other podcast things we said today, and it's an endless debate, about him and his set list. And he's got such an amazing catalog and so much to pick
Yeah.
from. And he doesn't change the set list that much. And there are certain songs that he does constantly and every tour, like Let Me Roll It, which is a great song. And I heard what you said in your video about Let Me Roll It.
Mm.
And I understand why he does it, but shake up the set list a little bit. And he still does
Yeah.
the Jimi Hendrix bit at the end of the song.
Yeah. I mean the trouble is that you know for people like us that have been going to see him live for a number of years, and have seen him live lots of times. the set list has become a bit stale. But if you're seeing him for the first time, and you and you look at the set list, and it's like, oh wow, it's got Hey Jude on it, it's got Let It Be on it, it's got Live and
Mm.
Let Die on it, it's got Let Me Roll It on it, and Maybe I'm Amazing. All these fantastic songs. It is a stellar list of songs, bar maybe two or three that we could really do without. For me, that would be something like "Come On to Me" and "My Valentine," and "In Spite of All the Danger." I don't need to hear those, but there's other songs I'd rather hear. And I'd love him to change. I'd love him to change it up, but I don't think he's gonna. And I was, I noticed that when I was watching various people's, videos from Monte Video, and
Mm.
nearly everyone had posted up, uh, this is fans, videos from their phone, and they'd all the majority of videos that had been posted were Beatles songs, and that is why he keeps them they're in the set. He only did, I think he did eight Wing songs and six solo songs, and the rest was Beatles, which was very Beatles heavy. But that he knows his audience, and most of the people that go want to hear Beatles songs.
Mm.
And so, I imagine that sort of the hardcore fans, there's always hardcore fans at gigs, but probably, the percentage might not be as big as we think it is.
Well, my argument is that, there are songs from Paul's solo catalog that people know that were hits that he never does live.
No,
I don't think that if he did No More Lonely Nights that people would be getting up out of their seats and walking out, or Helen
no,
Wheels,
no,
or Uncle Albert, Admiral Halsey. There's a lot of songs that were hits that I think the general public does know. And there's no harm in doing those songs. And
no.
yet he'll do something that could be considered, a deeper cut for the Beatles.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I know, he's never done Pipes of Peace, which was a number one single here.
Hey.
He's never played that. Um, Yeah, I mean there are songs that you know that have been big hits that he doesn't play. I guess the other thing that you have to take into consideration is, could he successfully sing something like "No More Lonely Nights" now? I don't
Hmm.
know. I don't know if he could. But you know,
He
I,
struggles
I
to
think
stay maybe
I
on the
think
list.
yeah, I know. I know. Although that Montevideo gig, I said in my video, he struggled at the beginning of the song where it's just him and the piano.
Hmm.
But once it starts, the song builds up, the rest of the band come in, and he's doing that kind of, that raspy voice. He was brilliant. I thought he was brilliant, and I thought the band were brilliant during it as well. It was a real, I think that was a real moment in the gig as well. And one thing I did notice I watched some bits from Buenos Aires uh, the other night, and what really amazed me, such a young audience, really young, loads and loads of young people in the videos that I saw, loads of young people in that audience, which surprised me quite a bit actually. But yeah,
Yeah.
everyone loves Paul.
When I asked you about whether you have mainly a hardcore audience or some casual, I know that on Talk More Talk, we get people writing in saying, "Hey, I never even listened to Ringo the Fourth until you did a show on it, and now I like the
Yeah,
album." So you can convert people that either are
yeah.
not familiar with these records or never gave it much of a chance. So you never know.
Mm,
Okay.
yeah.
Beatley Tone, thank you so much for doing this. I always forget to do this on
My,
all my
my
videos.
pleasure.
I'm wearing a shirt that you can't see with this camera, but this
Oh,
is a one-to-one shirt here that I'm wearing. Thanks to
okay.
Joanne. Thank you, Joanne. And it's always a pleasure having you on. I'm going to put your link in my description box so people can, if they're not familiar with your YouTube channel, they should be. Okay, and hopefully we'll have you back on soon. And I think we might be doing a show on McCartney next, on something we just talked about.
That'll be good. That'll be good. Well, thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure as always, and great to talk to you, Ken.
Okay. And thanks to all of you for watching. And as Paul would say, we'll see you next time. Take care.
So yeah.